Hello, writers. In this presentation, Claire Fishback discusses her Plan for Anything approach, which she developed during recovery from a concussion in early 2020. As an Author Accelerator certified book coach, Claire emphasizes the importance of creating a joyful and flexible writing practice. Let's listen in.
Claire Fishback, I'm so delighted to have you at the Write Anyway Summit. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Sue. I am so excited and so thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak at the summit. This is so cool.
Oh, great. I'm so delighted to have you. We're going to talk about helping writers plan for anything. I think this is such an important topic because people get derailed, right? We'll make a commitment. I'm going to be committed to my writing this time. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it. And then inevitably a gremlin comes in and something goes sideways and things happen. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to create the Plan for Anything approach that you can get a joyful writing practice, and what kind of writer does this Plan for Anything tool work for?
Yes, definitely. So I actually started out creating the Plan for Anything tools back in January 2020 when I sustained a concussion. And I was not allowed to look at screens for like 2 months while I was recovering. And so, of course, I was in the middle of writing a novel, my second published novel. And there was no way that my brain could even fathom writing the rest of my novel by hand. So I switched to short stories. Well, if you've ever been a writer who primarily types and you switch to writing by hand, you know the pain is real. So I started out by creating the tool. You'll hear more about it later, but it's called Give It 20, and setting a timer for 20 minutes and just writing for 20 minutes at a time, giving my hand a rest. If I had more time to write, I would keep going. So yeah, during that whole healing process, though, the reason I still kept writing was because there were two things that helped me feel quote unquote normal during that recovery time. It was cooking and, of course, writing. So
Yeah.
I couldn't not write, right? A couple years later, at the very beginning of my journey here to become a certified book coach, I decided to put out a little survey to learn more about writers and their writing habits. And the top reason that writers skipped their writing sessions or tended to not show up to their writing sessions was because of, lack of motivation, not being inspired enough, distractions, too tired or brain dead. You can name all the different ways to say tired. Not enough spoons,
Yep.
executive function, not functioning. That's what happens to me usually. And then the second reason was I categorize it all as like life reasons. So family, events, shuffling kids around, that sort of thing. And a lot of people have chronic health conditions and,
Yep.
Other things that make it so they can't show up. So, which I loved. I was like, oh, yay, everyone's putting family and their own health above writing. That's fine, because those are like the two most important things to me,
Yeah.
But anyway, so I designed these tools to help writers kind of like reframe their mindset around how they feel when they don't show up. Because I know a lot of us might feel guilt or shame or like, I'm not a real writer because I'm not showing up every day. And it's more about like, not having to write every single day, but more about finding a way to fit writing into your life that works for you and your like energy flows and fluctuating health and, mental capacity and things like that.
Yes. And I love when people come up with tools and like specific approaches that people can just plug into, because a lot of people are just out there trying to solve it on their own. So you've grouped your tools into a couple of categories. So you have resilience, perseverance, and consistency. Can you give us a quick overview of what each of those is about?
Yes, definitely. This is the exciting part.
Okay.
So I know that like off the bat, these kind of sound like productivity categories, right? But I promise you, these are more for building, like I said, this creative support system, this fulfilling and joyous writing life, rather than just a collection of productivity hacks. So it's kind of like a menu to choose from, not a mandate, like you have to do all of these. It's like, just pick the ones that work for your situation, whatever it is. So, okay, so resilience is the first one. So this is your ability to bounce back and keep going despite pitfalls and perceived failures and whatever else might be going on in your life, right? So perceived failures, that's kind of like the perception of what it means to be a real writer and what that looks like. And I say perceived failure because we kind of like judge ourselves based on what other people are doing instead of thinking about like, what can I actually do? We're not all Stephen King who can write 10 pages a day. I mean, I personally can't do that. So it's more like looking at every writer being their own version of success, so to speak. So, there's no one right way to be a writer. So this is not going to be quick. I'm just going to say that right now.
This is the meat of it. That's okay. This is the meat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the tools that fall under resilience are, the first one is reboot. So this is like giving yourself permission to start fresh, like start, clean slate, fresh energy. If you've, fallen off the writing habit wagon, more than once, it's kind of like leave that in the past. This is a new you today who's going at it again and start over. And starting over can be like get back into your book that you left behind. Oh, I call that old musty, who's like withering away in the corner while you do other things. Or it could be actually starting a fresh manuscript, like starting over from scratch. I know I'm probably not the only writer out there who starts multiple times and then finally finds the rhythm and gets going, So the second tool in resilience is the right stuff. So this is about choosing the right goal for where you are in your writing journey, and then taking that goal and then creating like these level goals so you can set yourself up for success and then still have room to grow. Or maybe it's this way. So this is like if you feel like you keep falling behind or failing, that perceived failure thing again, it might be that you're setting a writing goal that just isn't for you. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later because I want to get through all these tools first. Okay, so the next one in resilience is break the ice. So this is like breaking the ice with your manuscript, basically. So after an extended break away from your manuscript, basically just reread what you wrote. So you're breaking the ice, like getting to know your manuscript again, So this could be like rereading everything that you already wrote to get reacquainted with the story, the characters, your writing voice, and everything like that. Or if it was like a little shorter break, then maybe just reading the last couple of chapters to reacquaint yourself again with the story, characters, or your writing voice. So those are the 3 tools in resilience.
I love those. And again, so much of this is just like permission based. The one that really struck me was the reboot, because too often writers or just humans in general will be like, well, I quit violin lessons when I'm in the 4th grade, so I'm a quitter. And now I did it again with my book. And they bring that like identity and evidence of their own past failures into the new thing. And I'm just not down with that. Right? Nothing you've done in the past has any determination, has any bearing on what you can do in the future if you decide it doesn't. So reboot was my favorite, but keep going. Let's do perseverance.
So perseverance is your ability to show up and keep trying despite like your negative self-talk. We all have that, and then other factors that kind of veer you off course. So the first one is skip ahead. So this is like, if you have writer's block, you're in the middle of your manuscript and you hit a wall and you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen next, but maybe know something that's going to happen later. Like you're excited about a scene that's coming up later. So this is like skipping ahead to that scene. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can either write that scene and then maybe during the writing of it, you figure out like, okay, so if this is what happened in this scene, then something that you wrote needs to happen to set it up in the scene that you're stuck on. The second way to do it is to look at that scene and then just kind of like walk your way backwards towards where you are stuck and see like, okay, if they're stuck here, then that means this needs to happen, that needs to happen, that, and to get to that point. So that's the skip ahead tool. Right. Love it. And the next one is, this one is one of my favorites. Keep on keeping on. I used to call this the Joe Dirt, but I don't know how many people have actually seen that movie, but he says it in that movie. So keep on keeping on. It's kind of a raunchy comedy, so it's not for everyone. This is when you have a scheduled writing session and you are feeling the need or the urge to skip it because you're out of spoons, your executive function won't function, your nervous system says nope. Try just adding one sentence to your novel, just one, even one word. Like hit return and just write and leave it at that. It counts.
Mm-hmm.
Everything counts. You're still adding
Yep.
to it. Even today I was talking to one of my clients, even having like thinking days where you're thinking about, okay, this is what needs to happen next. This is what should happen. This is a thing I just realized about my character while I was in the shower, because that's when things happen is in the shower, at least for me. So this is like, everything counts. Like just one sentence, one word, that sort of thing. It's kind of gives you permission to not have to sit down for hours on end, right? Or
Yes.
write like 1,000 words in one sitting, that sort of thing. Just one sentence, it counts. And then the third tool in the perseverance category is make it fun, because writing should be fun. We're not here to like drag our bones to the computer or the notebook or whatever we write with and get to work. It should be something that we look forward to. And if it isn't fun, then take a break and make it fun. So this is like kind of a creative reset almost. So take a break from your manuscript and work on something that's a little lower stakes. Like, I don't know, some flash fiction, like grab a story prompt from somewhere, write some bad poetry. That's what I've been doing lately. I used to write a lot of angsty poetry in my teenage years, and now I'm writing just bad poetry, but it's fun. It's fun. And the point of this is that creativity shows up when you show up for it. So like creativity can be your muse, whatever creative higher powers you believe in that, channel their energies into you to make you write. When you show up for it, it says, oh, you're actually serious now. Let's do this. And it will keep coming and keep coming every time. And before too long, you'll be out and about grocery shopping and pick up an avocado and think of a, random thing for your book.
Again, we're so well aligned. We do a whole challenge, the Mind Over Manuscript Challenge. And for people who don't know what to do for every day of the challenge, I'm like, you just write one sentence, right? It can feel so daunting to sit down in front of a book, but if your inner saboteur cannot create a big stink if all you're asking it to do is just write one sentence. And most of the time you will write more. And even if you don't, it's the same gold star. So totally aligned. Love it.
Awesome. I love that so much. So cool. Okay, so category number 3, consistency. So this is showing up time after time. And I'm always like, cue Cyndi Lauper.
Yes.
And time after time, of course, is like, whatever that looks like for you. The main key is creating this consistency in your writing practice. And that can be like showing up 3 days a week. It can be every day. It can be, 20 minutes here and there. It can be whatever consistency looks like for you. It's not the same for everybody. And it shouldn't be. Like, we shouldn't be forcing ourselves to do a consistent habit that doesn't work for us. And so this is all about like, the more you are consistent, the more ingrained the writing will become into your life. And it doesn't even matter how often it is. It's just keep doing it, keep showing up. Like I said, creativity shows up for creativity. So the more you show up, the easier it gets, that sort of thing. So, okay. So the first tool in this one is commit to Old Musty. And again, Old Musty is your manuscript that you left behind one day and just haven't had the gumption to show back up to for whatever reason. So this is connecting with your manuscript. And this is like remembering that spark of the idea, like remembering that day the story idea came to you and like revisiting it and even like journaling about it. Like, this is what happened. This is what gave me this idea. This is what I was excited about when I, decided to write it. And then the second step to this is writing like why you want to write the story. Why this one? Because there is something, I believe that every story has a message to share with the world, about humanity and human nature, and like some deep level thing that we want to share that's like deep inside of us. And I mean, some people call it theme. I call it a message to the world or the soul of your story, so visiting why you want to write this particular story. And then also going even deeper than that and like looking at yourself, like, why am I the best person to write this? And looking at your own lived experiences that will kind of feed into your motivation and inspiration to keep writing it. So that's the commitment. You make this commitment with your manuscript, your Old Musty.
Love it. I love the name Old Musty too. That's my favorite.
I have a picture that I made of Old Musty in Canva. I'll have to share it with you.
Okay. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, the show notes. Perfect. Okay, so the next one, I already mentioned this one, but it's give it 20 or even 10. So this could potentially raise some hackles out there in the writing world, but a lot of people that I have worked with think that they need these like large swaths of time to write, like hours upon hours. I need a whole day. I need a whole afternoon. I need to go on a retreat and just sit there and write all day long. I'm proof that you, and some of my clients are also proof that you can totally train yourself to write in 20-minute increments. And when you can do that, you can start to like find little spots throughout your day where you can fit in a little quick writing session. And so then there's no not showing up. It's like, oh, I have 30 spare minutes while the lasagna's in the oven or whatever, I could go just like pound out a few hundred words or whatever, or one sentence.
Yep, exactly.
And then if you start to listen to a song, the same song every time at the beginning of your writing session and ritualize it, it'll activate your brain. It's go time to write. The only caveat there is if you hear the song when you're out in the wild somewhere and like in your car driving, your brain might be like, it's time to write. And you're like, I can't, I'm driving. That sort of thing. But yeah, this is the Give It 20 is my go-to. This is essentially how I write. Every single day that I show up, this is how I write. And it was especially powerful during my concussion recovery. And, when I don't have any brain power left at the end of the day or even at the beginning of the day. And it works when you're unmotivated because it's only 20 minutes. It's like, just sit down for 20 minutes. Even if you add one word, one sentence, or just stare at your manuscript for 20 minutes, it still counts. You showed up. That's what matters.
Yeah, I think that one's really, really important because I hear a lot of writers. I feel like it's your inner saboteur trying to convince you that you need this huge chunk of time because your inner saboteur just always wants to shut the project down. So if there's no possible way you can make room for 4 hours in a day to write consistently, then your inner saboteur is like, well, that's what you need. So sorry, guess you can't do this. Right. But it's absolutely possible to drop in, right? If you train yourself that it's writing time and I can get something out in 20 minutes, you would be surprised how you can drop in and write for 20 minutes, like consistently and actually hit the good dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it does take a little bit of time to train yourself to do it, but it's shorter than you would think. Like a matter, I would say days versus weeks. For me, it was. And for some people I've worked with. So the last tool in the consistency set, this is about like if other people are the saboteurs of your writing time and distracting you and interrupting you and stuff, is simply close the door. So this is like literally closing a door if you have a place where you can write that has a door, or giving your family, roommates, whoever are around you and interrupting you an indicator that this is my 20-minute writing time. It's only 20 minutes, so they can live without you for 20 minutes. And it can be like your noise canceling headphones or like a certain hat. I have a client who puts a little light on her desk because her desk is like in kind of a shared space in her home. And so far, she turns the light on and her family doesn't bother her at all. Like it's been working for quite a few weeks. I want to say like 3 weeks at the time of this recording. So
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So that's all the tools. And again, just think of these as a menu, not a mandate. So pick and choose what you want to try out and what works for you and your brain and your overall well-being.
I love these so much. And you talked about how you're writing 20 minutes at a time. That's part of your go-to. What is your other like main go-to tool when you feel stuck or overwhelmed?
Yeah, definitely. So aside from Give It 20, I close the door. And this for me is noise canceling headphones because I have this beautiful office and I don't write in here. I write on the couch. We have this big cuddler section on our couch, or we have a huge sectional and it's this cuddle section. And my beloved pit bull mix Kira is cuddled with me. It's very not ergonomic. I'm all twisted with my lap desk and she's just like cuddled there. And it works. But my husband is watching whatever show he's watching. I think right now he's watching The Bear, the last season, the latest season. And so I put on my noise canceling headphones and I just get to work. Sometimes I can still hear him trying to talk to me, but I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry. I also use skip ahead when I get stuck
Mm-hmm.
and make it fun. Like I said, the bad poetry that I've been doing lately for make it fun, just to refill that creative well and do a creative reboot, so to speak. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So for your coaching clients, what is the tool or category of tools that you've seen them really glom onto and find the most helpful? Is there one that stands out?
Yes, there's a few actually. So with every coaching client that comes to me that I work with, we always start out by committing to Old Musty. And Old Musty can also be New Musty.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to be musty just yet. It's a manuscript. Committing to your manuscript. So yeah, we look at the why a lot. We look at the spark, we look at the why, and I always have them come back to this if they get stuck. What inspired them in the first place? This is super powerful. Even asking them to revisit the moment what inspired them to become a writer in the first place, and reconnecting with that little baby writer inside of them who's waving their crayons around, scribbling on construction paper, know. So that's the key, is to reconnect them with their manuscript in a way that's like deeply seated inside of their soul and their heart and all of that. And then from there, I mean, I have a client who's come back again and again, and we still always start there. And it's writing it by hand. I'm like, write your why again. She's like, I knew you were going to say that. So yeah. And then a couple of other tools that have had a big impact are Give It 20. Again, I have a client who has been with me since the beginning, since 2022, and she still uses that to this day. And another client who has a chronic health situation, who needs like that space and flexibility to have off days. And I just tell her, can you just add one sentence? Just one, just try. And she does. And she's like, oh, I wrote 200 words. I'm like, oh, did you? So it's pretty awesome.
Yes. And I've had clients too. A lot of our clients have chronic health issues. I have chronic health issues. So I have a lot of empathy for that. And one thing that I find that I learned from the clients with chronic pain, because they told me, is like, look, I'm going to have chronic pain no matter what. But some days I'll have words on my manuscript along with the chronic pain. So even though you may have obstacles that other writers may not have, if you just don't set yourself up to have to do it exactly how they do it, or have the same, productivity output goals, but the sense of satisfaction that you get from overcoming or working alongside the obstacles that you have should not be underestimated. It makes you feel like a rock star when you got 200 words, even though you were having a very low spoon day. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Do you want to explain the spoon thing real briefly? Because not everyone may know what we're talking about when we say spoons.
I'm not sure I really know the full story, but I've had friends with chronic health issues mention it before. And I looked it up, and I think it's like just energy, isn't it?
Yeah. So I can't remember. Well, maybe I'll Google it and put it in the show notes. But there was someone who wrote a blog post, basically, and she had chronic condition, and she created an analogy of, imagine that you wake up in the morning and you only have so many spoons, and every spoon you can trade for doing a task that you just need to live your life, right? But today you only have 3 spoons. But so you got to shower, and you got to eat, and you've got to let your dog outside. That's all you can do that day, right? So it's like, how many spoons do you have that you can trade for the things that you need to do in life? So then there's people call themselves spoonies, right? So if you have something that sort of limits your ability and your energy, you refer to yourself as a spoonie, and it's become this sort of subtle way of identifying, right, your fellow spoonies out in the world. Well, lastly, let's talk about those writers where they've listened to this whole thing and they're like, yeah, but I was really in the habit for a while and it felt amazing. And now I haven't been in the habit for 18 months and I have definitely failed. What do you say to someone who's like really on the brink of giving up forever?
Oh, that's so hard.
I know.
It's so
awful.
Sad. We've all been there though, haven't we?
Yes.
All of us, even how deeply passionate I am about writing and how this is like my calling. We've all been there. But I would say to them, like, what if it wasn't a failure? What if it was just a pause? What if you just needed a break to like rest your mind and energy around your writing and like rekindle or refill the creative well, rekindle your passion for it? And so I have kind of like a list of the tools that they can kind of follow if they want to get back into it. So the first thing that they would want to do, of course, is reboot that practice, baby. Like, forget the past. This is new you version 2.0 or 10.0 or whatever version you're on these days, for your reboot there. And then pick a goal that works for you. So the right stuff is, so reboot, then right stuff. Pick a goal that works for you. Where are you at? If you're just starting out again after you've had a really long break, don't run out of the gate wanting to do 2,000 words a day. How about, show up for 3 days. Show up 3 days in a row, even, for 20 minutes, that sort of thing. Create these, like, I mentioned the level goals before. So a level goal would be like, level 1, show up for 3 days. Level 2, show up for 5 days. Level 3, show up for 7 days, like having these different levels so that you're almost guaranteed. Like the first level should be like a guaranteed success. Show up for 1 day even. Show up for 20 minutes. That's guaranteed success right there. And that starts to like set up your mind around your writing practice with this positive, energy instead of like, oh, I failed before, I'm just going to fail again, and having that negativity come with you. No, get that out of here and like start fresh, easy goals, nail them for 30 days. And then you can maybe think about adding some metrics around it, like pages or word counts or things like that. But yeah, like I said, starting with the 20-minute sessions, committing to Old Musty again, remembering why you want to write the story and what excited you about it in the first place and all of that. But to me, the fact that the writer might feel like a failure is because this isn't just a passing hobby. This is like a passion. This is something they want to do. They want to finish a book or a story or whatever they're working on. And that makes a difference. Like knowing that this is like in your blood and your body and your soul and all of that, instead of just being like, oh, it's just a hobby. Oh, I pity the fool who says that my writing is a hobby. My husband has learned. And there was one time recently that he slipped and I was like, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, I mean, writing is not a race. You didn't fail because you stopped. You just haven't finished yet. And there's always a way back to the page that doesn't involve, the negative emotions of shame or guilt or, what happened in the past. It should be, like I said, joyful and fulfilling and not something that's negative feelings,
Yeah. And your brain doesn't want you to fall into negative spirals. That's not motivating, right? So if you're telling yourself about it in a way that generates negative emotion, that doesn't generate a positive action from a negative emotion, right? So like if you start with those little wins, like all of the list that you went through, like how to get yourself back into the project, then you can't say to yourself, oh, I only showed up for 1 day. That doesn't even count. No, you have to celebrate every little step forward. And then your brain's like, oh, this actually feels good. Let's do it again. It's positive reinforcement.
And one more point though, is like, if you create your level goals, so the super easy win, a little bit stretchier, and then like ultimate writing practice or writing day or whatever, if you have little rewards that get better and better with each one too, that's also, let's bring some, what was it, operant conditioning? Maybe it's anyway, it brings one of the conditionings into the mix here. And then you'll really like, your brain will just be like, ooh, yay, rewards, chocolate, wine, whatever your reward might be.
Exactly. Well, Claire, this has been an absolute pleasure. I really hope I'm sure our listeners have gotten something out of this that can help them reignite or commit to their writing practice. So thank you so much for sharing these. I'm sure it's going to be super helpful for a lot of people. Can you please let everybody know where they can hear more about you and what you do and how to work with you and your books?
Yes, of course. I'm not on social media because it is just a dopamine trap over there and a time suck. So I gave up social media a while back, a few years ago, but I'm online at ClaireLFishback.com. If you go to my website, you'll see I have a really fun kind of silly quiz called Which Labyrinth Character Do You Write? It's based on Jim Henson's Labyrinth, which probably kind of dates me a little bit, but I don't care.
love it. I love Labyrinth. We're into it.
Awesome. But it's designed to kind of help writers understand like the strengths inside the challenges and gives them a custom next step to get out of any type of creative maze they might have found themselves in. So that is, again, ClaireLFishback.com. The quiz is ClaireLFishback.com/quiz. It's weird. It's fun. It's like freakishly accurate. So take it, enjoy it. And once you get your results, you'll be on my email list. And consider that an open opportunity to reply to any of my emails and just say hi or, ask a question or whatever. I love, love, love getting emails from writers who are just like the best people on the internet, in my opinion.
Completely agree. Completely agree. Well, Claire, thank you so much for being at the Write Anyway Summit. We'd love to have you back anytime.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
You'll find Claire online at ClaireLFishback.com. And her fun quiz, Which Labyrinth Character Do You Write Like?, is at ClaireLFishback.com/quiz. Check it out.